Now, the regional conflict, viewers, has reached a critical flashpoint with Iran launching its largest retaliatory strikes to date. And the United States, well, it's issued an unprecedented evacuation order for thousands of its citizens across the Middle East. That's right. Big news breaking first on NDTV here. The US has issued an unprecedented evacuation order for all its citizens across the Middle East. Not only does the US Embassy in Jerusalem will be closed today, and all the personnel at the US Embassy in Jordan have also been temporarily evacuated. Meanwhile, the UAE Ministry of Defense has reported defecting 174 ballistic missiles and 689 drones. I'll go back to my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, who remains to be with us. Aditya, this unprecedented US order of evacuation for all its citizens across the Middle East, how hard is Iran hitting other Middle East countries, America's partners in the Middle East, actually hitting the US?
Well, certainly the U.S. is taking all precautions that are necessary. There's a statement that's been issued by Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State as well, on the U.S. interest across the Middle East. They will do evacuation as are necessary in these areas. But currently, there is also a standstill situation with several airports that have been shut, many airspaces also shut in the region. And the U.S. embassies are a direct attack. In fact, now I'm hearing reports of embassy, the U.S. embassy that's been attacked in Riyadh as well, and these are very important developments that are coming at this hour. Of course, the U.S. Trump administration is trying its best to secure its staff and diplomats across the Middle East.
Right, Aditya, but let's just listen in to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, where he says the hardest U.S. attack is in fact yet to come on Iran. Aditya, just be with us. Meanwhile, listen in to what Marco Rubio just said.
The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Honestly, again, I'm not going to give away the details of our tactical efforts, but the hardest hits are yet to come.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State there, Marco Rubio, underlining that the hardest hits are yet to come. My colleague Aditya Raj Kaul remains with us. Aditya, all of these strikes on the Gulf countries, how do they change and how do they alter U.S. deployments in the region and also America's posture, given that we are listening from other Arab countries that they probably want more security from the U.S. and we have this evacuation order at the same time?
Well, certainly evacuation order has been there, and there is a strong presence of the U.S. Armed forces and their deployments and assets also all across the region. So at this particular stage, we'll have to wait and watch what course they take as of now. But certainly the worst isn't over yet, and that's why the U.S. is now jumping to protect U.S. interests and particularly U.S. diplomats and staffs all across. So as of now, the big development certainly is that there is a statement that is coming from Marco Rubio and the Trump administration to secure their diplomats, but also a fresh warning against the Iranian regime, asking them not to target and use missiles, against the U.S. interests in the region, or there will be far worse consequences for them. Trump has also said that, the operation will continue until the Iranian regime is changed. In fact, when NDTV spoke to the foreign minister of Israel, Gideon Sa'ar, he also reflected Trump's statement and said that the operation will only continue because this is a historic opportunity. And of course, this is the time as of now when Iranian regime can be changed and a democratic setup could be there. But will it really practically be possible? Only time will tell.